The following is an ESG 360 video.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Bowker, Senior Analyst at the Enterprise Strategy Group.
And I'm Colm Keegan, Senior Analyst from Enterprise Strategy Group. You know, Mark, I was reading a really interesting article the other day which talked about how over 1/3 of CEOs surveyed indicated that they had either entered or were considering entering a different industry within the past 3 years. And then many of these same CEOs said that going forward, it's likely that businesses will compete in industries outside of their own over the next 3 years. When you hear CEOs talking like that, does this really hit home with you in terms of business agility and the need for IT transformation?
Yeah, absolutely, Colm. Super interesting. So this is just a real-world confirmation that, in fact, many businesses have already transformed and have been making strategic changes either with or in spite of their internal IT departments. And to be fair, many IT organizations know this. The smart ones, however, are embracing this reality and making the infrastructure and organizational changes necessary to adapt to enable their businesses to move on a dime when needed.
Exactly. And I think that what we're finding is that most businesses are adopting more of a hybrid cloud approach to enable that transformation. Often we see that the first business use case with cloud services are software as a service applications like Salesforce.com, Office 365, or Google Docs. And then maybe they'll utilize backup or DR as a service. These are all great opportunities to reduce operational complexity while delivering important business services. But that's really only the tip of the spear from an IT transformation standpoint. To enable business agility, it really requires a transformation of on-premises systems so that businesses can rapidly spin up new business services in their own data centers while having the ability to integrate with cloud infrastructure and infrastructure-as-a-service offerings can provide the infrastructure elasticity that businesses need. Mark, I know you're getting ready to publish a white paper soon about the key things that IT planners should look for when evaluating cloud providers with infrastructure-as-a-service offerings. Could you give us a sneak preview?
Yeah, absolutely, and they're super important to really kind of form this checklist, right? So the first thing is try them by. This is all about being able to make sure the provider allows sufficient access and try out the solution. The next one, which can be a little bit tricky if you don't have the past experience, is all about contract terms. Here, it's all about the terms of service, termination terms, service levels, and subscription terms are just a few of the contract terms you need to consider. How about provider expertise? This includes application and business expertise, as well as the underlying infrastructure. Does the provider have both? And how many years has it been in business? How are the employees trained? And are they certified in what they know? The next one is reference customers. Try to find somebody in your industry or familiar with the technology or is solving a similar challenge than what you're going after. The other one is transparency. Make sure the provider is extremely transparent, whether it's with their services, technology, or contracts. The other one's always about the data, right? Where it is and how do I get access to it?
That makes a lot of sense, Mark. I think one area that you and I can both agree on that really deserves special attention is provider expertise. And in particular, what type of white glove or concierge services that they may offer. Some organizations may have the resources and talent in-house to roll their own hybrid cloud environment, but it's probably a good idea, at least in the initial stages, to engage with either an integrator with cloud expertise or maybe the cloud provider themselves to help with some of those initial cloud bootstrapping efforts. What do you think?
Yeah, it's great, Colm. So I think it's super smart for businesses to work with cloud professionals before embarking on a hybrid cloud implementation. Frankly, it's too important of a business initiative to risk stumbling through the gate. Cloud architects and engineers know what the pitfalls are and can help businesses from making the sometimes common mistake that can impact application performance, availability, and operational management. And the good news is that some providers are very flexible with how these services can be procured. For example, it doesn't necessarily have to be an all or nothing proposition. Businesses can select a higher end of service and support for their most critical applications, like SAP and Oracle, while opting for a very basic level support for non-critical systems like test and dev.
That makes sense to me. Mark, we're seeing a tremendous amount of interest in alternative IT consumption models like infrastructure as a service, but often we see IT organizations starting their infrastructure transformation initiatives with converged and hyperconverged technologies. In addition to greatly simplifying virtualized infrastructure deployment, many of these offerings reduce much of the operational burdens as well. So let's talk about these solutions in our next segment and also discuss how they can be leveraged within the context of hybrid cloud.